So I invested in this like small NFT thing, and it was doing well in the beginning. It was like kind of a small NFT fund, and then it just.
You help them figure what they want out of life, but you know everything it come with a price. Want to maximize your money and time, might have to take the uncommon advice.
Let's get into part 3 here, uncommon advice. We want to talk a little bit about investing versus saving. I know this is a topic you just got back from a heated discussion on.
Oh, yeah. We did get back from that, but I do have a story on this. The difference between investing and saving is the risk that there is between both of them, right? When you save, the risk is not as high. Maybe you risk, I should have taken that chance or not. When you invest, the risk is a lot higher because you might not see that back. It might be a failure, or you might see a huge success out of it. So what I know from saving. So when I was young, the PS3 was coming out. I remember I had a little piggy, and my dad again, my parents, we grew up really well, but my dad was not a person like yeah, here you go, you can have it. So my dad's like, save the money. So every day I walk home, threw $1 in the drawer. Every day I walk home, I threw this. So I remember it was going for like $3.99 at that time, and I was like $50 short. And I told my dad, I'm begging, Dad, please. Dad, come on, it's $50, Dad. It's $50. He's like, oh, so what about the game? What game are you gonna play? That's another $50. I was like, yeah, you're right. That's another $50. And then I kept saving until I got that money saved, and that showed me is like, if you want something, first you got to work for it. So the only way I was saving money was I go into the laundry room. I first look to see if any coins dropped in there. I go see if my dad, if I did something around the house, my dad would give us always a little bit, like a chore or something. He'd give us like basically like 10, 5, $20. And that's how I started. But that taught me like how you need to save to get where you are to hit your goals. But then as I got older, I'm like, why save and have to wait time where take the risk, invest, and the thing hits, right? Some things take a little longer to hit. Some things can hit a little quicker. But if it hits, why save? What am I going to do now with, I die tomorrow and there's, let's say, $200,000 is sitting in my bank account saved. Woohoo! I did so much with that money. Or go invest it and have a continuous cash flow, where when I'm saving, I don't have continuous cash flow. So that was one of my stories that I learned when I was young.
Yeah, I think there's different ways to invest. It all comes down to your risk tolerance.
Mm-hmm.
I think savings good, but once you have a certain amount in the savings and kind of that rainy day cash fund, there's only so much you can have in there. You want your money. There's something I try and live by. It's like not work for the same dollar twice. And I learned that the hard way because I have done in the past where like you work, you make money, you spend it, then you work again, then you make money. It's like constantly working for that same dollar twice. So over the years, I've learned and figured out ways to invest. So I'm not doing that, right?
Gotcha.
I think if we can kind of strive to getting ourselves to where we're not working for that same dollar twice, that's the kind of sweet spot, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, how you invest, and it's going to be determined how risk adverse you are, right? So, for example, I've got a couple things. I actually, in my earlier years, Grandpa over here, I would always, when I first started making money, every dollar I made, I was spending. It was like
In and out.
didn't matter how much, right? It was like make it, spend it, make it, spend it.
$1,000 today, spend $1,000 tomorrow.
Yep. So it became one of those scenarios. And then I started getting into investing, and I started getting into real estate and doing real estate deals and creating some opportunity there. And then I started looking at, all right, well, where you can have a good ROI on investment is in companies. So I started investing in companies. And sometimes I would invest in a company. I got to a point where a little too much, where I was investing a lot of my money back into companies. And that's good and bad. You got to have both, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you still want to build some assets. Company's an asset, but only based on the value that it's got, and you may not be looking to sell it. So it depends what it is. And so there's different ranges of how you're going to invest. For me, things I've invested in over the years has been real estate, companies, and then my more high risk stuff that I've done is I've invested in some crypto stuff.
Okay.
And right now we're just sitting and waiting for the next bull run. Hope we're on the upside, catch the upside.
That's cool, huh?
So,
But
sit and wait.
But I also feel like there's different stages in your life where one becomes more important than another, right? So I feel like as you get older, you probably get more into the saving stage. Man, I'm older. I got to start saving for retirement, all that stuff. But like as someone my age, I don't really see saving much as like how do I, like you said, how do I invest? How do I make more money? Because I always feel like, say, like, example, 401k. I feel like the 401k is something that goes in there. It goes in there. You basically can't touch it till you retire, or you get a penalty fee if you try to pull anything out earlier. So it's like, what happens if like that's what's my thought that goes across. What happens if I don't make it to 65? What happens if I made it to 50? All that money is a waste now. Like, yeah. So I've always thought about investing, make more money. I was like, because if I can have a consistent cash where I can see consistent cash flow coming in, then maybe I'm like, okay, now I can throw a couple dollars into just a savings account for a rainy day. I can throw. But at this moment, I'm in the moment of like, how do I just duplicate? Like, how do I go from, if I invest $20K, how do I make $50K off of it? Now, if I invest $20K, I'm going to see that $20K again in like 45 years.
Yeah, and ideally, it's obviously compounding, right? So it's investing can help you grow your savings, right? So to me, investing and savings are two different things, but they could also be one and the same. So if you're investing in a real estate property, you're investing in a different way, right? You're getting the appreciation, the depreciation, plus you're getting the asset long term. You could be getting cash flow from the rental if it's a rental, right? So that is still kind of savings because it's not cash in a savings account, but it is an asset that you've put into your portfolio. So I think it just depends on how you're doing it. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's different ways to do it, and I do think that the investing mindset is way better than the storing for a rainy day mindset, right?
Gotcha. So what would you say young entrepreneur right now who is, maybe, let's say it's in a pickle, right? Do I save just in case, or do I invest my money and take this risk? Like, what would you say to a young entrepreneur, you investing in probably multiples of business and real estate? What would you say to someone?
Man, I would definitely not go to Vegas and put it all on black or red. So yeah, I mean, I think that one is you should have your rainy day fund, right? You need your X amount of months, whether that be 6 months, 12 months, sitting in a savings it doesn't have to be a savings, but it could be in a money market, somewhere that's accessible, right? And that you have access to, but it's liquid, so something happens, you've got it. And then once you have that, then you can start compounding, you can start investing in other stuff. You know, it depends what your risk tolerance is. Maybe I'm not really into the stock market. It's never really been my thing, which is kind of funny because my first job, my second job out of college, like, I guess my first corporate job offer, my first one was scuba diving instructor. And then a corporate job offer I got was as a financial planner for Ameriprise, American Express at the time. And I didn't end up going through with it, but it was, you know, all of that, the stocks and investing portfolio, all that stuff. And I just never really got into it. So I liked real estate. I was into it, got into real estate young. So I think if you're a young entrepreneur, I would look at opportunities to do that. Even if you're if you're young and you're building a business, you've got cash flow, you've got your kind of rainy day fund set aside, go look at buying a piece of real estate. Okay. Maybe it's one you live in, and you live in it for a couple of years, do some fix up on it, and then you turn it into a rental after that. You know, so I would look at something simple like that as opposed to maybe you are in the stock market and you want to go invest in some of the index funds and ride the market. So it depends.
Okay.
It depends what you're into, but I would definitely get into something that's going to allow you to compound your money.
Gotcha. All right, Nate. So my big question for you is, so what's the biggest risk you taken on investment, and did it bite you in the butt, or did you come out on top?
Oh man, I've had both.
What's the worst one? One to this day that you like, it just cringes you.
NFTs.
Really?
So I invested in this like small NFT thing, and it was doing well in the beginning. It was like kind of a small NFT fund, and then it just tanked. So, but it wasn't a ton of money, but it was just like, all right, it was out of my realm. It's not what I was into, but I put some money into it, and I don't know where it's at now.
Did you get into it yourself, or did someone?
I got into it with someone I knew that was doing it.
Okay.
He was like, hey, I'm having success with this, and it just so happened that's what happened in the market. You know, he was good at it, but the market shifted. Anyone that was in it, you know, you lost. So just like crypto's way down right now too. So I think I do have a high risk investment I made was into a crypto platform. I invested in this coin Hex, and then rolled some of those profits over into this Pulse Chain network, right, into Pulse, which just launched. And it was awesome because when it launched, I was up, 300%. I'm like, this is great. And then now I'm down, way down. But to me, that was, a lot of people get in through the emotional side of that and freak out. For me, I was like, all right, this is the money I'm going to put in. I'm going to look at it in 3-4 years.
Yeah. Right now, I'm not too.
Some people follow them. I tried following the market and all that stuff. It's just not me. Like, I'm better off spending my time learning how to be, the things that are going to improve the company that I'm in, the company that I'm running.
Not sitting there watching a line.
Yeah, it's not my business. It's a full-time business. It could be a full-time business for people,
I mean, yeah, people definitely do it as a full-time job. So,
what about you?
For what? What are my investments?
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I really have invested right now that I would say was in the house I bought. That's been, and I mean, profitability is up right now, huge, and I hope it stays up with this whole thing that's happening in the markets. Some house prices are dropping, but right now I'm up big time. So hopefully it stays like that. But that's really been the only investment that I've ever done. If you call gambling an investment, I've done that one too.
That's not an investment. It's gambling.
But yeah, I don't have really much investments. I mean, there's things I've looked at, but I never got into the stock. Like you said, it's not something that I'm like dead on.
But you're kind of at that point now where like you've stacked some cash and you're starting to look, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we've had conversations on it. But like the stock market for me is I don't know it well. I'm gonna be honest. Like my dad's not into it, so never was taught in that way. I never really cared much to it. Same thing with crypto, and I think the only stock I've ever bought in the whole thing with crypto and everything was when Dogecoin was like going crazy. And it was like, it's gonna hit $1. It's gonna hit $1. And I bought it. I think it was like at like 0.05, and that thing sunk more and I lost. But about I think it was like $400 on it, and nothing really happened. But yeah, other than that, I haven't.
Oh, you wanted to pay 400 in Doge, and then it was going to explode, and you're going to have 100,000.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, that was my mentality. It was exploding. Everybody's like, Elon Musk is going on Saturday Night Live. Yeah. This is going crazy, and I did, and no, it did nothing. So yeah, that's really the only investment I ever made in that, and other investments on the house. The house that we bought, and me and Elizabeth have been my fiance have been talking about possibly buying either a condo. We like Hilton Head, like buying something out there, or just buying another property. So that's definitely the
I think it's a smart move. Good move, right? Because even if you do Hilton Head, it's something you can rent.
Exactly.
So funny story about a piece of real estate I had. So we bought a house in 2016, and then a year and a half later, we moved to San Diego, and we put it on the market to sell at put it on the market for more. We bought it at a good price, so we were still able to sell it, make a little bit of money. It never sold, and we rented it. And then 2 years, it was 2 years, we had a renter in there for 2 years, and then we put it back on the market. About the same price, a little bit more. Never sells. We got a super low ball offer that we said no to. And then the guy that was supposed to move into it, so I ended up putting a renter back in there. And the renter rents it. And he goes, hey, man, I want to buy this house. I'll pay you X for it. I'm like, that works for me. Good deal. We had a verbal agreement. House sold. House under contract. And it ended up to where I call him up. I was like, hey, we can finalize this contract. Get going. He went at Miami. And he goes, hey, by the way, I got to move out. So he went from signing a 2-year lease to agreeing to buy it to moving out all within like 3 months.
Man,
so Susan and I moved back. We decided to move back from California in 2020. We moved back in the house, and I'm so happy that none of those deals went through because we ended up doubling the price and selling it. So all with the craziness that happened in the last couple of years.
Now that's a good investment right there.
That was a good investment. But once again, some investments you have no damn idea
exactly
what's going to happen. Who would have thought the market would have done that? So like I had a verbal agreement at one price, and then I ended up selling it for double because the guy backed out. So some deals just work, some don't.
Exactly. We'll take it, man.
Some people like to believe it's like super strategic and they win all the time, but it's not the case.
It's time. It's all time.
Yep.
Time and luck.
Yep.
That's what gets you there. But I mean, I think that's a wrap.
That is a wrap. So hey, real quick, comment, and share. Do us a favor. If you gain some value from this, pass it along. That is the gentleman's agreement here. We don't do any advertising on this. Maybe one day we will, but now we don't. So in the meantime, like, comment, or share.
Absolutely, guys. We'll see you in the next one.
Hey, listen to this, might have to take the uncommon advice.